The movie opens with a group of teens gathering for a high-stakes gaming tournament, where the winner takes home a $10,000 prize. The objective is simple: kill as many players as possible and rack up points. As the game begins, two standout players emerge: a newbie girl with raw talent and a veteran pro with numerous accolades in gaming. The crowd goes wild as the veteran takes the lead, leveraging his experience to dominate the competition. However, the newbie has a secret weapon: a bottle of Impulse 9 energy drink. She chugs it, gaining an explosive energy boost and the ability to slow time by 100 times. With her newfound advantage, she eliminates all the remaining players, including the veteran, securing victory in dramatic fashion. Val Hernandez is on top of the world after winning the tournament, celebrating with her boyfriend Evan. But her triumph is abruptly cut short in the most brutal way imaginable. The bottle of Impulse 9 slips from her hands, shattering on the ground, and in an instant, Val snaps back to reality. To her horror, she's now an adult, living in a rundown house with no electricity, raising 3 kids. The outside world is a barren wasteland, and even the air is toxic to breathe. The story then rewinds to a few days before the tournament. Val is introduced as a brash and ambitious FPS gamer whose dream is to go pro. The year is 2017. And she lives with her divorced father, Carlos, who insists on setting her up for a job interview at a diner. Reluctantly, Val heads out in formal attire, but as soon as she gets into Evan's car, she changes into casual clothes. She's skipping the interview to compete in a Field of Fire tournament, a popular FPS battle royale game. Val believes winning the prize money will help her buy a gaming PC and kickstart her professional career. However, Evan bursts her bubble, revealing that Roy, a seasoned gaming pro, is making a surprise appearance, making her victory far less certain. The next day, Val and Evan arrive at the tournament arena and spot Roy soaking in the limelight, taking selfies with fans and boasting about his inevitable victory. Before the match begins, Evan urges Val to stay focused and avoid unnecessary risks. But Val has other plans. She's determined to put Roy in his place. Once the players take their seats, the game begins, and Val gets off to a strong start, racking up points early. However, Roy quickly closes the gap, showcasing his skills with such ease that he even jokes with the crowd mid-game. Seizing an opportunity while Roy is distracted, Val edges toward victory, but instead of playing it safe, she goes for a flashy, glory kill. Her gamble backfires spectacularly, and Roy eliminates her in an instant. Despite the setback, Val's earlier points secure her a spot in the finals the next day. As Val and Evan leave, Roy mocks her mercilessly, calling her an amateur before returning to his adoring fans. While Evan steps away to get the car, a mysterious man named Kojima approaches Val. Speaking cryptically, he tells her the secret to winning is to leave Konami and start your own studio, a comment that baffles her. Before she can respond, he hands her a business card and disappears. At home, Val tries to sneak in quietly but is caught by her father. Forced to confess, she admits she skipped the job interview for the tournament, which enrages him. Carlos demands she go to the diner the next day to plead for another chance. But Val insists the tournament final is more critical for her future. The argument escalates, with Carlos dismissing gaming as a viable career. Ignoring his advice, Val storms to her room, frustrated and determined. While watching a podcast that praises Roy's performance, Val grows even angrier. Her eyes fall on Kojima's business card, and she recalls his cryptic words. Fueled by vengeance and a desire to prove everyone wrong, Val decides to visit the address on the card. The following day, Val heads to the Golden Saucer, a gaming cafe bustling with people glued to their screens. Inside, she spots Kojima, who directs her to sit and try out a game. Still unsure about the purpose of her visit, Val obliges and begins playing. She sets the game to its highest difficulty but struggles to progress. Noticing her frustration, Kojima hands her a bottle of Impulse 9 and hints that it's no ordinary energy drink. Curious, Val takes a cautious sip. Instantly, her perception shifts, and everything around her slows down dramatically. The game that seemed impossible now feels effortless, and she breezes through the level. Suddenly, Val snaps back to reality, finding herself sitting across from Kojima once more. Confused, she asks what happened. Kojima explains that Impulse 9 manipulates time for the drinker, stretching it depending on the amount consumed. To her shock, he reveals that an hour has passed since she took the sip. Kojima then demands $500 for a single bottle of the drink, leaving Val stunned. She hesitates, wondering if using the drink in tournaments counts as cheating. Just then, Kojima receives a call, and Val overhears him speaking to none other than Roy. It becomes clear that Roy also uses Impulse 9, which explains his unbeatable reputation. Fueled by determination to level the playing field, Val decides to buy the bottle. The next day at the tournament, Val places the bottle of Impulse 9 beside her keyboard. As the game begins, she takes a small sip and harnesses the slow motion effect to dominate the leaderboard. Watching this, Roy drinks his own Impulse 9 and quickly starts climbing the ranks. The competition heats up, and in a moment of desperation, Val chugs the entire bottle. Time slows to an almost complete crawl, and she capitalizes on this to its fullest extent. With her heightened focus, she eliminates Roy's avatar and secures the victory. The arena erupts in cheers as the crowd goes wild. Val basks in the glory, celebrating alongside Evan as her dream of winning finally becomes a reality. As the couple kisses, Val's bottle of Impulse 9 slips from the table and shatters on the ground. Suddenly, her surroundings dissolve, and she snaps back to reality, sitting in a crumbling, dilapidated house. In her arms is a crying baby, and to her shock, her body appears older. Moments later, Evan enters, his clothes filthy and torn. He takes the baby and gently tells Val to prepare herself for the day. Panicked, Val hyperventilates as she notices a wedding ring on her hand and her visibly aged reflection in a cracked mirror. She stumbles downstairs, only to encounter two other children who call her Mommy. Overwhelmed, Val rushes outside, vomiting in distress. The sight that greets her is even more horrifying. Her neighborhood is a makeshift settlement filled with tents and outdoor bathrooms. The area is enclosed by high walls, beyond which stretches a desolate wasteland inhabited by deadly creatures known as death lizards. These creatures are infamous for preying on humans, forcing residents to guard the perimeter in shifts. It is revealed that Val has time-jumped to the year 2029, losing over a decade of her life in an instant. She discovers that others who drank large amounts of Impulse 9 also experienced similar leaps, earning them the label Pulsars. These individuals often awake with no memory of the intervening years, leading to chaos and the downfall of society. Pulsars are despised and distrusted by the remaining population, and many are expelled from the safety of the town's walls. Fearing exposure, Val keeps her Pulsar status a secret. Later, Val explores the house and finds an urn containing her father Carlos's ashes, which devastates her. She recalls their strained relationship and regrets her last words to him. Shortly after, Deputy Dan, her colleague in the town's administration, assigns her to latrine duty. Val protests but is reminded that as the sanitation commissioner, she must fulfill her responsibilities. Left with no choice, she spends hours cleaning the filthy latrines, reflecting bitterly on how her life might have been different had she pursued the diner job interview years ago. Days turn into weeks, and Val slowly adapts to the harsh realities of her new life. She handles tasks ranging from scavenging to perimeter defense, all while caring for her children. One day, after picking up her daughter Sophia from the makeshift school, the little girl presents her with a drawing. It depicts Val as a hero, giving her a moment of bittersweet solace amid the harshness of her apocalyptic existence. Val dismisses her daughter's drawing, too exhausted to respond, and arrives home to find Evan peddling a makeshift bicycle generator to power an old console running her favorite game, Field of Fire. Despite her fatigue, Val agrees to play around with the kids, and the night quickly spirals into hours of gaming. Suddenly, Evan bursts in, panic-stricken, revealing that she missed her guard shift, leading to Dan's death at the hands of the death lizards. Stricken with guilt, Val rushes to the scene, only to face Dan's devastated wife, who lashes out, blaming her for the tragedy. Val tries to retreat home, but Evan insists she finish her shift. She obliges but returns later in immense pain, confiding in Evan about her struggles. Overwhelmed and feeling out of place in this harsh world, Val writes a letter confessing that she's a Pulsar and leaves it for Evan before venturing into the wasteland at sunrise. After wandering aimlessly for days, Val stumbles upon the decrepit golden saucer. Inside, she finds Kojima, who appears eerily unchanged by time. He sympathizes with her plight and offers her a solution, consume a massive bottle of Impulse 9 to leap so far into the future that her mortal life would cease to exist. Torn and uncertain, Val contemplates his offer, wondering if escaping time itself is the only way forward. Val initially leans forward to grab the Impulse 9 bottle but notices her daughters drawing nearby. Overcome with emotion, she recalls cherished memories with her children and Evan, prompting her to abandon her escape plan. Instead, she returns to the community, determined to make amends. At the gate, Evan, angry and hurt, refuses to let her back in, citing her betrayal. Val apologizes profusely, vowing to rebuild trust and fix her mistakes. Suddenly, gunshots echo in the distance, signaling the arrival of the Death Lizards, cannibalistic marauders who prey on others in the wasteland. Alarm bells ring as the terrified community prepares to evacuate to the ravine, where they hope to hide. Val, seeing this as her chance to prove herself, decides to stay behind and hold off the attackers to buy the others time. She assures Evan that this is her way of making things right and earning back the community's trust. Evan, torn and saddened by having to leave Val behind, is convinced by her to go for the sake of their children. As he leaves, Val grabs the large bottle of Impulse 9 and prepares herself for the inevitable confrontation with the Death Lizards. The group, led by none other than Roy, arrives at the gate, and the two recognize each other instantly. Roy reveals that he snapped back into reality years ago, becoming a ruthless leader capable of taking any life. Unfazed by his threats, Val tosses the empty Impulse 9 bottle, signaling that she's already consumed the drink. Time slows for her, and with incredible precision, she begins firing at the attackers, blowing up a gas canister and sending them flying. The shootout intensifies and Val manages to eliminate most of the assailants, but not without taking hits herself. Shot in the stomach and shoulder, Val falls to the ground, but as Roy takes a final shot at her, she shoots back and kills him. With her dying breaths, she fires a flare, signaling to Evan that the community is safe. The film ends as Evan sees the flare and rushes towards her, while Val slowly succumbs to her injuries.